Joining me on the big interview tonight is a lady who's a hugely successful businesswoman. She's a top model agent and she was a former Miss Northern Ireland as well. Alison Clarke is with me in the studio. How are you?
I'm good, Rob, and all the better for seeing you.
Indeed, and you're looking great, I must say, as you always look.
Thank you.
And I suppose to be ladies watching this will say, what kind of fitness regime does Alison put herself through to keep looking that good? Is there one?
Not enough, Robin. I'm always on a permanent diet. I guess it's just a little of everything and not too much. And if you do go overboard, then pull back for the next few days. Okay,
so we know you for your model agency, for ACA. How many years has it been running now?
We have been running since 1990, 1st of November 1990. So how many years is that?
Wow, exactly.
Nearly 30.
Indeed, yeah. So was that always the goal for you? Did you always want to get into the modelling beauty business?
No, initially when I left school in Strabane, I went to Strabane Grammar School, way up in County Tyrone. I was going to go to university to study maths. And my mum drove me to the universities for the interviews and all the rest, and I had set my heart on going to Coleraine, University of Ulster. And one day, walking across Abercorn Square in Strabane, one of my friends was nipping into the Ulster Bank to get an application form, and I went, oh, get me one too, I'll fill it in. So the rest is history. I filled it in and I was invited for an interview. I was told that they would give me a job, and I said, well, can you hold off maybe a couple of months because I've got a part-time job in the Isle of Man in a hotel that I've promised over the summer. So they did. They gave me 6 weeks fun in the Isle of Man doing my hotel waitress job, and then I came back and started on the 13th of August 1979.
Wow.
In the Ulster Bank. And I worked there for a number of years, and during my time there, I came across my best friend now, Judith Quinn, who worked in the Ulster Bank as well. We shared a house together. She was from Portstewart. I used to go and spend weekends with her there. And in the Strand Hotel in Portstewart, there was a heat of Miss Northern Ireland. I entered it, I won Miss Strand Hotel, went into the competition, which was Miss Belfast, and then became Miss Northern Ireland. And that was where I started off. So when I won Miss Northern Ireland in the Ulster Bank, there was a man there who worked in public relations. His name was John Kenny. And he was a former regimental sergeant major in the army. And he took me under his wing, brought me from typing the statements in the Ulster Bank in Waring Street, which is now the fabulous...
Merchant Hotel,
yes,
of course,
yes. So that's where I went up the stairs for my first job, same steps, everything. But John ran the public affairs office of the Ulster Bank, and very close to here, actually, your studio's just round in Canada House in North Street.
Right.
So I went to work there from Waring Street up and worked for him for quite a number of years in the PR department. And that introduced me to a lot of press people in Northern Ireland, people in the media, in television, in radio, in newspapers. And those people then were my go-to people when I started my agency to give me publicity and all the rest. And I'd been the one that had poured them the brandy in their coffee at the press reception. So then it was payback time, and they looked after me very well.
So how difficult was it to start your own agency? Because you're one of the first people in the country to really do this, weren't you?
Well, do this for such a long time. Yeah. Before me, there was... Stages Model Agency, which was run by Brian Massey, who I did some work for at the time, and then Brian had moved to London, and there really was a gap in the market. And before 1990, in 1985 actually, I had started running heats for Miss Ireland in Dublin through the lovely late Krish Naidu, who also was a great influence in my life in the modelling and the beauty queen industry, because he taught me what they did in Miss Ireland, and he was part of Miss World. And then when the Miss Northern Ireland licence came up, he helped me get that, and that was in 1987. So I've been doing that since. So Krish Naidu and John Kenny were the two men that I looked up to, one in the beauty industry and one in the PR industry, and then I sort of combined both
Of course, back in the 80s, these contests were massive, weren't they? Miss World was a massive TV audience. Even Miss Northern Ireland was shown on UTV back in the day, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. And when I went to Miss United Kingdom, it was a live competition in London. And then people decided the UK probably is one of the countries that doesn't show beauty competitions now live on television. Miss World is shown worldwide, and there are channels that we can pick it up on here, but not on the terrestrial channels. But back then, yeah, in the 80s, it was huge. And things have changed in the beauty industry. There are things like now computers, internet, social media, which has changed all our lives dramatically as well as that. But Miss Northern Ireland has grown then into a modern, fresh competition for successful young women.
So what's your memories of winning Miss Northern Ireland back in 1982, wasn't it?
1982,
what's your memories of the night?
Yeah. It was in the Europa Hotel. It was hosted by Diana Dors and Diana Dors,
Wow,
the Diana Dors,
yeah.
And I mean, it was obviously no huge production. I mean, there was a little bit of a backdrop, and that we changed in the kitchens of the Europa, and the Belfast City Council were involved at that time, and they were part of it. And I won, and the next thing I remember, I met Bill Neely, who was then working as a BBC Cub reporter.
Yeah.
Now he's in, America with one of those huge news stations
Yes.
there, and worked for Sky and all the rest or whatever. But Bill was working for BBC Radio Ulster as a news reporter, and he was, "Hi, how does it feel to be the new Miss Northern Ireland?" And to me, it was all a dream. It was all, woo, yeah. So I remember I had to stay in the Europa that night, and a breakfast in bed, PR shot the next day, and all the rest. I had to phone the manager of the Ulster Bank that I worked for then, Wesley Parker, in Waring Street, and say, "I've just won Miss Northern Ireland last night. I can't get into work immediately. Maybe I'll get there later." And he said, "Oh, have the day off or whatever."
Well, I've got to ask, what was Diana Dors like?
I didn't realise she was as huge in, not in personal size, but in the industry until afterwards.
Yes.
And former Bond girl and everything.
Of course, yeah.
I remember, there was nothing bad, so she was obviously very friendly or whatever. We didn't have much to do with her because she just introduced us on stage and that, and then maybe interviewed the top 7 or whatever. I don't remember that bit. I do remember the Miss UK final and what it was like. Because it was live television then, and I remember everything that happened there. But I think the Miss Northern Ireland was I just went through and probably never thought I was going to win, so then it was a bit of a shock.
So has the contest changed much since then to the way it is today?
Absolutely, there's a lot more to it now. Then it was, you turned up on the day, on the afternoon, did the show at night, and that was it. You walked up and down. There was no entertainment, there was no choreography really. You were just told what to do. You were given no help and prep. Now we teach the girls lots of grooming skills, fashion skills. We teach them how to walk. We're involved with the Northern Ireland Hospice, which is our agency charity and competition charity. We do lots of events with the hospice to raise awareness and to raise money for them. And the winner now goes directly to Miss World, which this year is in China on the 8th of December.
Great.
So that is one thing. Back in my day, the winner went to Miss United Kingdom.
Yes.
And we were all given cities, and I was Belfast, the only one from Northern Ireland. And there were 50 of us in the competition, went to London. I'd never been to London before, got on the flight myself. There was some row over who was paying my expenses from the organiser, whatever. So I ended up booking my own flight, paying for my own flight to get there. The first weekend they did some pre-filming on a boat, cruising up the Thames and us in swimwear. And they shortlisted all of us over that weekend to 15. So I didn't think I was ever going to make the top 15. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy myself. The girls were glamorous, they were gorgeous, they all had long hair. I had a short, flicked back hair, flicked out, short to here, like something like real 80s hairstyle. In England and Scotland, Wales, they had sent all these gorgeous, beauty pageant queen girls. But anyway, I got through to the last 15. And that was one of the best weeks of my life. I shared a room with a girl called Sarah Jane Hutt, who did not do anything that year, but the next year she re-entered and she went on to become Miss World. That was in 1983, and that was the last British Miss World, Sarah Jane Hutt. And the year that I was in it, I was second runner-up, which was huge. It was the first time somebody from Northern Ireland had ever got that far. And the winner was a girl called Della Dolan, who went on to become third in Miss World. So over the space of 2 years, I had worked with a second runner-up and a winner. And I mean, my second place in Miss UK, I won £1,000 cash check, and that was like £1 million to me.
Yes, yeah.
But being a farmer's daughter from the country, I came back, put £500 in savings to look after myself, and went and blew the other 500 on. I went round to Jaffa Furs, which was run by a friend of mine, Janice, and I could never afford leather or fur or whatever. I bought myself a mint green leather trouser suit and a fur coat. That was me set up for life, I thought.
And then once you became Miss Northern Ireland, there must have been the usual photo shoots, the big events, you had all the glamour for the full year after that, yeah?
There wasn't as much work then. I kept my job on in the Ulster Bank full time, so they would have let me out in a morning or an afternoon to go and do something, an event or whatever. A lot of it was charity, and the Ulster Bank used me themselves in a PR role, so if they had any sponsorships or whatever, I was in the middle in the Ulster Bank branding.
Let's fast forward. So when you then got the franchise then to run Miss Northern Ireland, how did that come about? Did you have to apply to get the franchise? Or?
That was through my friend Chris Schneider, who ran Miss Ireland in Dublin. And I had been running heats for him for a few years. And the people that were organising it here obviously must have resigned or given up, whatever. And he contacted me and said, the Northern Ireland licence is available. Would you like it? And I went, I'm working in the bank. I'm pregnant, I think, yeah, because the first year was 1987, and I had my son Stuart on the 27th of May 1987, and the next couple of weeks I had the final, so I went, yeah, I can do that. So I did, and that's how it started.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
And over the years then you've seen many, many Miss Northern Ireland.
I did it as a hobby at the start because I was still working in the bank, so I did that for 3 years. 87 was my first year, Magella Byrne. 88 was the next year, Barbara Bothwell. 89, Pauline Taylor. And 90, Judith Spratt. And by that stage, that was when I gave up the bank. A voluntary severance package came in and I decided I'm out of here. I had to wait until the 1st of October to get out. The 31st of October. And I got out and set up my business the very next day.
Wow.
I got out. It sounds like an escape. However, the bank then was amazing. I loved working there. I made great friends, some of my best friends ever. And it was just in the days that computers were starting. So when I left my job there, my role had changed. I had been moved into marketing and I'd gone out and the bank were starting sales departments. So one of my jobs was going around all the schools in Northern Ireland trying to set up a computerised school bank. Mm-hmm. So then everything was becoming more digital and all the rest. And I thought, I'm out.
Now, I first met you in 1999.
Not long after, Robin.
Indeed.
You've been there nearly from the beginning.
Exactly. And I know a little photograph's going to pop up on the screen now of the first time we met and did a radio thing together way back then. But 1999 was a very special year, wasn't it? Because you had one of the most successful Miss Northern Ireland ever, didn't you?
Yeah. There's no probably about it. The most successful, one of my best friends ever now, Zoe Salmon.
And of course she went on to Blue Peter and having a great TV career out of it, didn't she?
Yes. And although she was Miss Northern Ireland and a Blue Peter presenter, she also did her degree in law and she qualified as a professional solicitor. Mm-hmm. So she still has that to fall back on if she ever decides. So she's definitely the beauty and brains. And
did you know when she first came into the office, did you know there's just something different, something special there, that she would go on to do something?
I didn't meet her until she turned up at the Heat in Carrickfergus. She entered the Heat there and I remember, I try and give all the girls a bit of advice and, you can nearly make yourself be a Miss Northern Ireland if you do everything right and you've got all the right qualities, because it is a job. And I remember Zoe needed a few little tweaks and I gave her some advice. She took it and she won.
Wow. Who else has been a good Miss Northern Ireland?
I've had lots of fabulous Miss Northern Irelands. Recently, Rebecca Shirley from Ballymoney has been a great winner. Megan Green is one of the best. Megan was, I can't remember what year it was, but she is a constant face in the fashion scene and the promotional scene, modelling scene in Northern Ireland, as well as a full-time job. Leanne McDowell was in the top 20 in Miss World. She's just gone to Dubai to work for Emirates. So I'm going on now. So 2019 will be my 33rd Miss Northern Ireland. So what I'm trying to say is there have been 32 winners that I have passed under my belt. Every one of them amazing. Every one of them completely different.
So are you thinking already about next year's heats?
Absolutely, yes. We're in negotiations with new title sponsors. We had last year 21 million opportunities to see the Miss Northern Ireland brand.
Brilliant, wow.
800 and something thousand pounds worth of coverage in press. So it's
still massive.
It gets
and the girls
bigger.
are still entering, they still want to do this, don't they?
Yeah, and we're also doing Mr. Northern Ireland this year. We're doing an actual, I've done it for about 10 years and the winners have been biannual. And this year we're doing an actual contest because the interest has been so high. We're putting on an event, so it's the first one we've done, and I've got, I'm a bit jittery about it, but hopefully it'll all go to plan.
Will there ever become a time when you'll get fed up with the whole thing and say, it's time for me to hand it over to somebody else?
It is me, Robin. I live in Portrush now, so I travel up and down. I do have an apartment in Belfast that I can stay in, but my husband is away working abroad, and I do go and meet up with him. However, I'm in the office every day this week, and I've walked out to come and meet you today, and I'm like buzzing. Yeah. I've had a meeting this morning, I'm buzzing. We've a rehearsal tomorrow night. I've got something on every day this week, and I try and work from home maybe one day a week in Portrush because I can do it remotely, because I can get into all my emails. I still do every bit of accounting myself.
Brilliant, yeah.
Obviously my days of numbers and
but you still get that buzz of going into your office every day and seeing the stuff happen.
And I still, will empty the dishwasher, empty the bins. I will never stop running around tidying up. I am anally annoying in the office. Everything has to be perfect and organised, yeah.
And you've always had a great team around you in the office as well.
I do.
Including Valerie. And we mentioned Valerie because good friend.
Valerie has been with me 17 and a half years.
Wow.
And Valerie has decided to retire at the end of this year.
Right.
So we're very sad. She's down now to 2 days a week, but she is... you wouldn't think she was anywhere near retirement age, never mind way past it. And she just has been amazing. She is like the mother figure, or the grandmother, and I'm the mother. And she's such a fabulous personality. She's so warming and welcoming to everybody coming in, and all our work experience people and all the rest. She takes them under her wing and looks after them and stuff. And she is very, what is the word? Psychic. She will say, "Oh, Robin, you're a Taurus," or whatever star sign you are, and she'll be able to say, "Oh, he's this, he's hardworking," or "Oh, they're such and such. Oh, they're a bit of, up and down. On a good day, they're fantastic. On a bad day, they're lazy." She has everybody's personality off to a T. She can read your tea leaves in your cup. She can read your hand. She can do angel cards. So she is the trauma mummy. Anytime we've any problems, "Valerie, can you do my cards?" Yeah. So she is fantastic, and we're so sorry she's going, but we knew it had to come to an end sometime.
Let's talk about Darren. You mentioned him there. Obviously, he's hugely successful. You're hugely successful. Is that why it works so well?
I think it works because he's away and I'm here. Well, no, he's not away all the time, but I mean, he's on the seniors tour now, and most of it is in the USA, although I was over there the last week of September with him at a tournament. I'm not really well up on all the golf.
Do you enjoy the tournaments, or do you go shopping and leave him to it?
Do you know, when he's there, he's working, right? And he's in the zone. It's like me being in the office, and do I want one of my friends, husbands, whatever, coming in and sitting with me all day? No, because he would do my head in. So I don't do his head in when I'm away, but he's out practicing and stuff and all the rest. So what's the point of me hanging about? And, you know, I mean, I love going every so often. So we did take me to that resort in Pebble Beach, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And but I couldn't do it every day. 1 week a month is enough. One week every 6-8 weeks is plenty. And then he's home in between and all the rest. And we'll go away for 3 weeks together at Christmas, you know, for the month of August. You know, I'll try and take longer holidays and spend more good time together than bits and pieces just caught here and there.
Have you been out on the golf course with him?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And are you good?
No, I don't play. When I met him at the very start, he said, "Can you play?" And I went, "Yeah, of course I can." And I was at his very exclusive golf club in London, and his 2 little boys then were there, Tyrone and Connor, who were about 8 and 10. And so he said, "Right, here's a club, hit it." So I thought, oh, how am I going to bluff this one? So I stood up, wiggled my hips as they do, and shook my arms and all the rest. Wham, bam, hit it. Best shot I've ever hit in my life, and I have never hit one since.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Yeah. So I just did it. It worked, and
So how did you and Darren meet? How did it all come about?
We met on a blind date.
Okay.
Graham McDowell was in Hong Kong playing golf in a tournament with Darren, and Darren had just missed out on getting to the Race to Dubai final in November, whenever it was. It must have been October sometime they were there. And Graham was friendly with Claire Lamb, who was one of my models at the time. And they must have been chatting and talking about Darren or whatever, and she must have mentioned, "I know the perfect girl for him, blah, blah, blah." And she must have said to Graham was chatting to him or whatever, blah, 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 "Oh, this girl at home says she knows somebody, whatever." And Claire sent me a message and said, "Can I pass your number on to give it to Darren?" I went, "Well, yeah, whatever, you know, we'll see." And then not long after, I got a text from him.
Wow.
The content of which is secret. But we kept in contact or whatever, you know, and flirted and all the rest until I actually then went and met him in London. The first place I met him was Heathrow Airport.
Right.
I got the flight and he came in to pick me up.
There you go.
And the next day, I was going to Eamon Holmes's 50th party in Manchester. So that's the reason I actually said, "Well, listen, I'm going to Manchester on the Saturday." And he said, "Well, come to London on the Friday, we'll go for dinner, blah, blah, blah." So we did. And then he ended up coming to the party with me. He was just smitten.
There we go. Brilliant. What a great way to finish the interview on. Just before we finish, Alison, we'll be looking ahead to next year's Miss Northern Ireland. Is it too early for girls to get their stuff in? No.
They can go on. We do have Miss Northern Ireland as part of our main ACI Models website. So the application process is still there if they want to enter, but we will not, we'll say thank you for the entry, but we will be contacting them in January. So probably no details are published yet until January. So, but watch this space and keep in regular contact with ACA Models, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those things. We'll have it all announced.
So Alison, if somebody's watching this and is thinking, yes, I'm definitely going to go for it this year, maybe they've put it off the last few years, what's the main piece of advice you would give them?
Go for it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, and not even entering Miss Northern Ireland or Mr. Northern Ireland. If you want to get into the modelling scene, into the promotion scene, certainly we have openings there all the time for the right people. So go onto our website. We have a Join Us information page, and you can apply through our website, which is www.acamodels.com. And we try and update all those aspects, website and all our social media all the time so people can see what's happening. So, but my main advice is stay grounded, and if you're given advice, take it on board, follow it, because not everybody comes in moulded as a model immediately, and they might need to be tweaked or told, listen, you got to do this, you got to do that, or, you know, but any advice I give is never criticism. It's always constructive advice, and it will help. And people who take it on board will be successful. Those who think they know best or bring their mothers in or take their mother's advice, bye.
Okay, well, Alison, thank you so much for joining us on The Big Interview.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Always lovely to see you. Hugs.